Hi guys. Previously we have discussed the mobile scaffold towers or scaffold platforms, and we discussed about how important the safety of the mobile scaffold tower. Now we will discuss the excavations in the constructions, the minimum acceptable standards, and let's have a look. Let's begin. Minimum requirements. One roo's legal or contractual requirements shall always take precedence. So when we are doing the excavation, we need to check the legal and contractual requirements and make sure that we are complying it, and then check our minimum acceptable standards. I want to show you some excavation sketch, how it's collapsing. You can see gradually on the lower bottom, gradually the excavation is collapsing, and then after that big amount of soil will collapse on the excavation because of this uncompacted soil. And this is very dangerous to our worker. As you can see on the photo on the left, there is utility line here, and besides of the utility line there is a loose region. So that means the soil or this area is loose like sand. So that's why it is the source that the excavation wall will create a cave in, and then later will collapse the excavation wall from the top up to the down. So if someone is there and then buried alive, it is very unacceptable accident. Okay, so next, general requirements. Routes of underground and overhead utilities shall be determined and clearly marked before commencing any investigation for excavation. So what we need to do, we need to check on the as-built if there is underground and overhead utilities on the area that we need to excavate. So before that, we need to conduct investigations. And you can see in the sketch there is underground utilities here, so you need to put the markings on the top of the surface from where the underground utility is buried. So when we are doing trial holes and or condition surveys shall be conducted along the length of an excavation to establish confirmed ground conditions such as running sun, water, and routes of underground services. So when we are doing trial hole, make a cross and transverse trial hole and longitudinal trial hole, so we can verify if there is underground services on that location before we can proceed. So we can start trial hole by taking manual digging for at least 1 meter depth. Okay, so once we reach the both side of these holes 1 meter depth, then we can do the machine excavation on the area on inside of this white highlighted area. And after that, if you want to continue another depth, then make another trial holes on that. Okay, so if you are not sure that the underground utilities are buried here, because sometimes the as-built is not truly reflected in the site, so it is always better to make the trial hole. So this is the way that how we can do the trial hole and before we allow the machine excavation. Before commencing any excavation works, a suitable and sufficient risk assessment shall be carried out by a competent persons. Competent persons, as I discussed, he has the knowledge. He has the knowledge on how on the job. He has the knowledge on how to prepare the risk assessment. He has the skills on how this job is doing properly. His attitude is well motivated and disciplined. He has the training on how to conduct risk assessment. And of course, you cannot do risk assessment if you are not attending the school. So you at least the person who are conducting this is educated persons. A temporary works design shall be produced for excavations greater than 1.2 meter. It shall be completed by competent person. A copy of the temporary works design shall be available at the excavations. So the competent persons that they're talking about here is, like, for example, the structural engineer. So he can make a design on how the excavation will be prepared if the excavation is more than 1.2 meter in depth. Like, for example, on this in the pictures on the left, they provided the trench box with a adjustable hydraulic system to make sure that the excavation that they will do and the people inside of this excavation are safe, and there is no chance that this excavation wall will collapse to people. In location adjacent to the road, buildings, or in poor ground condition, a temporary works design may be necessary for excavation less than 1.2 meter deep. This requirement shall be determined during the risk assessment process. Okay, so even this is less than 1.2 meter, but because of the existing hazards on the locations, like the buildings, besides of excavation is besides the building that may introduce additional load to the excavations. So the temporary works design is also necessary on this excavation. This is to prevent the excavation again to collapse to the people and also to damage the adjacent properties, and also for the especially on the vibration on the roads. No, this day to day it will it will weaken the soil stability of the excavation if this is besides of the road. So it is very important that temporary works design should be considered, and it should be prepared by competent person or the structural engineer. Where excavation in the vicinity of live overheads services is unavoidable, all plant must be fitted with limiting devices to prevent any part of the plant entering the exclusion zone established during the risk assessment process. Okay, so as you can see here on this, you will do the excavation here, but you have overhead power lines on the area. So you can also attach the limiting device on your equipment if you are doing the machine excavation, or you can also provide exclusion zones by providing physical barriers a safe distance from the overhead power lines. And of course, don't forget the manual digging. All underground utilities shall be exposed by hand digging before mechanical digging commence. Alright, so if there is underground utilities on the locations, sometimes I encounter the underground utilities like spaghetti, everywhere there is a cables, and very not only ordinary cables, it is around 22 kilovolts. It's very high, so it is very important that carefully expose this one by hand digging before you allow the mechanical digging. Mechanical digging within 1 meter of underground utilities is not permitted. So if you found the underground utility and you want to do the mechanical digging, so within 1 meter, don't let the mechanical digging on that lower range, because it may damage the underground utilities but incidentally, and of course it is a big disaster. Example, you are damaging the telephone company's cable, so water lines. So imagine if this water supply system is supporting the community, then the whole community, they don't have water if you damage that underground utility. So it is always better to make it safe, no? Unless the temporary works design determines otherwise, all excavation in excess of 1.2 meter deep shall be either excavated to a safe battle angle. So safe battle angle, like for example this you can see here the height. Okay, I will show you later. Bends such that at angle from the top of the slope to the two of the excavation is equal to the safe battle angle. Safe battle angle, like for example the base, the height of each step is 2, and the horizontal line on this excavation sketch is 0.6. So the safe battle angle, by rule of thumb, 1:2 in ratio, no? Excavated material spoil shall be placed at least 0.6 meter back from the top of the excavation and shall not be piled higher than 1.5 times the distance from the excavation. So the height is equal to 1.5 times the length, okay, 0.6 meter times 1.5, that is the maximum height if you have 0.6 distance, okay, because this one is to make sure that any spoils will not affect on the edge of the, or will not contribute to the edge or to the wall of the excavations. Supported by a design or proprietary trench support system in figure 3, as I discussed, is trench box or any types of shorings that can prevent the soil to collapse. All excavation greater than 1.2 meter in depth shall be provided with ramps, stairs or ladders as means of access and egress. As you can see in the figure 2, so you need to provide access, maximum distance together of 30 meters or less. So the ladder to be secured from the top and to the bottom, okay, and make sure that there is 1 meter extended on the top level surface on the ladder. This will serve as a handle or of the client, of the workers, when they are doing when they are ascending and descending from the ladder. Ladder shall extend at least 1 meter above the top of the excavation, shall be fixed on the top and bottom to prevent slippage. As I already discussed, ramps used solely for personal access shall be at least 1.25 meter wide. Okay, so if you cannot provide the ladder, you can provide some ramps. At least 2 ramps, stairs or ladder, 1 each side of excavation, shall be provided with a maximum travel distance of to a point of egress of 15 meters. So anywhere in the site, make sure that there is a 15 meters access distance. That is the maximum access. So that's why we write here 30 meters or less, the distance between the access, because when you are standing between of these 30 meters, you are make sure you can make sure that there is a 15 meters maximum travel distance in the access in the inside of the excavation. Trench support system must never be used as means of access or egress. So the trench support is only to support the horizontal, sometimes horizontal load. So if you are stepping on the trench support, it will damage and you will be falling down from the to the excavations. Barriers around excavation, where persons can fall more than 2 meters into an excavation, or where other hazards exist at a lesser depth. Example, starter bars, water, etc., and rigid barriers shall be erected and maintained. So we need to provide rigid barriers around the excavation. During darkness, the edge of excavations close to thoroughfares shall also be marked with hazards warning lights. So you need to provide the hazards warning lights on the excavations. This hazard warning light is the blinking on the night. Okay, hazards warning light in Arabic also, and or local language in your area or in your country, and at least one other language understood by the worker shall be prominently displayed around the excavations. So when you are providing hazard warning signs, okay, you need to provide also the local language, English language, and other language, common language in the site. So there are 3 languages that you need to provide on your hazard warning signs. Hazard warning tape shall never be used as sole means of identifying excavation. So warning tape is not allowed when you have already excavations, because warning tape is a soft barrier that the people falling down into the excavations. Okay, so don't use hazard warning tape. Only hazard warning tape is to make markings when there is no excavation. That means you will do the excavation. But if there is already excavation, refrain to install the hazard warning tape. Working in around excavation. Never work alone in any excavations. For the workers, you are not allowed to work if you are alone in the excavation. So why? Because when you are alone, if something happened to you, nobody will rescue you, nobody will alert other person to help you. So you should be at least body system, or you are 2 as minimum. Plant, equipment, and materials shall not be placed near the top of any unsupported excavations. So this is very clear. When you put plant or any equipment, materials on the top, it will introduce additional load to the wall of the excavation, and then the excavation may collapse. So even this excavation is supported, you are not sure if the additional loads can sustain by the support. So you need to coordinate with the designer what is the capacity of that support, and assess the weight of your materials and equipment and plant on that location. Give it to him to evaluate if this excavation is still safe. Otherwise, don't do it. Adequate ventilation shall be provided where there is insufficient movement of air to prevent the accumulations of poisonous or asphyxiating gases. So you need to provide ventilations to make sure that you have the sufficient breathable air inside of the excavations. Okay, ensure that minimum 19.5% and maximum of 23.5% of oxygen level by volume is maintained in the air. So how we are going to check this one, and then of course you have this gas detector. You have we are using commonly in the construction site, we have a multi-gas detector. So on that gas detector you can check what is the available oxygen on a particular space, to make sure that you are not below 19.5% or you are not exceeding the 23.5%. Because you know, if you are below your 19.5%, yeah, the person who are working inside of the excavation, they will feel difficulty in breathing. And if the oxygen is more than 23.5, the air is something explosive environment. So refrain and maintain only the oxygen level inside of the excavations between 19.5 to 23.5%. Plants and vehicles operating in an in and around excavation shall be fitted with an operational, audible, reversing alarm and orange flashing beacon. Okay, so when the truck is reversing, the truck should have a reversing alarm to alert others on the near excavations, or there is also orange flashing beacon on the top so that it will be visible. Plant and vehicle operators must be competent and hold a relevant license. There are so many incidents happening because of the lapses of the operators when they are reversing to the excavation to bring materials besides of the excavation. Okay, the excavation collapse or the truck fall onto excavations because they are incompetent for that activity. So we need to make sure that those operators, they have an experience doing the job besides of the excavation, and of course they have a relevant license to operate such vehicle or plant, so that we can make sure that they will not get accident when they are doing their job besides the excavations. If any machines is required to tip material into an excavation, stop blocks and spotters shall be provided. So when you are arranging the stop blocks, you need to make sure that the distance of the stop blocks is on the placement of the stop block is in a safe distance from the edge of the excavation. What I'm trying to say is, when the tire of the truck is stopped on that stop block, that means there is zero or negligible effect to the wall of the excavations. So we need to identify what is the distance for it's depend upon the excavation. Like for example, on the excavation, the depth of the excavation is 2 meters. Okay, you can do the minimum 1 meter from the edge. Okay, but if you can do 1.2 meters from the edge, is more safe. On this way, you can maintain the angle, the angle of repose on the excavation, the 1:2, okay, ratio or safe angle. So that means the tire of the truck will no longer affect on the load, will no longer give additional load to the excavation walls. Personnel shall not remain in the excavation or in the vicinity of tipping operations. Okay, so remove all personnel when we are tipping materials into excavation, because we doesn't know if the moving vehicle or the excavation will collapse during the vibration. So remove them before you tip any material onto excavation, and then once it's completed, you can again advise them to return to continue their job. So always 100% that no people inside of the excavation before tipping of any materials on the excavation. Inspection of excavations. So it is always better to prevent accident by doing inspections. So excavation must be inspected by experienced and competent persons. So that means the people who are doing the check or inspection, he has the experience and he know what are the hazards of the excavations. He should use the checklist for the excavation so that he will not miss something. Okay, so if he has the checklist, he can check everything in the list before work start, at least once a day, and before it's shipped. If they found something wrong on the excavation, they should report this to the next ship so that they can immediately take action. Excavation must be thoroughly examined weekly, every 7 days, and after substantial collapse or damage. So thoroughly examined by a competent person like the structural engineer, so that he can see if the excavation is still safe for the works to be performed inside of the excavation. So he should check all of this, including the shorings, okay, the condition of the soils on the excavations. So every 7 days or after the collapse or damage of partial of the excavation.